The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Green Acres and our guests. These general gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all label directions. And learn how to make your yard summer strong at bewatersmart.info.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. Cause the plants are growing and some seeds I'm sowing. My garden's growing higher. Yes, I need to weed it, and the fruit I eat it. Seed-saving heirloom strains, gardening in the reign of busy life and constant noise. Nature's simple, perfect choice. Harvest dinner, fresh and grand. Working with our own two hands. Healthy meal, a vibrant sight. Growing all our food just right. Plant a seed and feel the breeze. A happy home among the trees. A life well grown, a world so green. The greatest thing that you have seen. My garden's growing higher. Now the plants are growing and the seeds I'm sowing. My garden's growing higher. Yes, I need to weed it, and the fruit I eat it.
Yeah.
Billy Joel, eat your heart out, buddy.
Yes, Kevin.
All right, that's kind of fun.
Wow.
All right, so we had to start with some fun. Welcome one and all to the show, and away we grow. Time to cultivate some garden joy and some fun. Welcome one and all to the show. If this is your first time joining the podcast, welcome to the family, plant friends. This is the Green Acres Garden Podcast. I'm your happy host, Kevin Jordan, and man, I love plants. We have a great episode for you this week. Before we get started, let's say hey to my main man, Austin Blank. What's up, Austin?
Well, hello, little singer Kevin over here. This is so good. I love it when you sing songs. You've done this a few times on the show, but it's definitely been a while, and I missed it. Thank you so much for doing that.
A little garden treat.
It's a great way to start
all of you
the
out
show.
There.
I'm like really psyched now. How fun was that? So wait, that was a Billy Joel song. What's the Billy Joel song?
We didn't start the fire.
We didn't start the fire.
But my garden's growing higher.
I love it.
So hopefully people enjoyed that if it made it in. We have a great episode this week. We are kind of getting close to the end of the year, which is the perfect time for gardeners out there to reflect a little bit. So in today's episode, we're going to be looking back a little bit on some of the greatest and grandest lessons that we've kind of learned this year in 2025 out in the garden. We've had so many amazing guests this year on the podcast. I've got to see firsthand what these folks are working on and growing and just hear from them about their passion, their enthusiasm. I've got to learn so much, and so I've had a blast. I can't wait to kind of reflect a little bit.
I have too. It's been a big year for me as well. And when you said we should look back and think about what we've done, I kept thinking about more and more things. Like, oh, this happened. Holy moly. A lot has been going on, so I'm excited to dive into it. And Kevin, also our producer, Greg, if listeners don't know, Greg is the man. Greg is the one behind the scenes making a lot of this show possible. And we love producer Greg. He's probably my number one resource for garden knowledge.
So smart.
Anytime I have a question about anything, I hit him up. He wanted to give his own reflections on the year of 2025. And I thought they were so good. Can I share them with you?
Dude, please.
Okay, here we go. So this is from producer Greg, his reflections on 2025. This year has been transformative. I've learned that the garden community is far more than just people. It's an interconnected web of life. Birds, insects, microorganisms, native plants, pollinators, and all creatures forming a fragile yet resilient ecosystem. One of the most profound realizations is that roots are the heart of the plant, and healthy soil is alive. A single teaspoon of rich soil contains more microorganisms than there are people on Earth, and that fact still amazes me. I've discovered the critical role of native plants and the incredible diversity around us. Over 1,600 species of native bees in California alone. I now see houseplants as miniature rainforests, deepening my appreciation for them. And yes, who knew worm castings were so valuable? This year, I tasted my first jujube and rediscovered the joy of pomegranate arils. These experiences inspire me to eat healthier, plant more, and explore new flavors. I've also learned that mycorrhizae is the worldwide web of the plant kingdom, connecting roots and fostering life underground. Meeting passionate gardeners and experts worldwide has made me feel truly rich. Gardening is not just a hobby, it's a way of life, a way to connect with nature and people alike. Wow, Greg. I think that is just so beautiful. It's incredible, Kevin. Don't you think that, like, Greg's been doing this a long time?
Over 40 years.
And he's still clearly so inspired and, learning new things.
The learning never stops out in the garden.
That's so cool. I mean, what a great thing. I love it. What do you think?
Well, and he'll even be the first to tell you, when he first started, people were blown away. Hey, you can really have so much success with chemicals out in the garden. And, if you have a problem, you give it some chemicals. If you have a pest, you kill it, you destroy it. And that was the solution then. And it worked well for a while. But now you fast forward, things have changed. We're finding better ways. Actually, what's old is new again. Mm-hmm. And we're finding that there's some organic methods out there in a lot of situations in our home gardens where you don't need to open up that bottle of chemical pesticides or chemical fertilizers. You can use organic methods. So that can be very beneficial, not to only the success of you out in the garden and having a huge harvest, but just but kind of reducing our impact on the environment, being very deliberate. When you do spray an organic spray, you're very deliberate, only spraying what you need, when you need it, at what you're trying to identify and kill. But usually there's so many different, some people are going to no spray. Some people are like, they're going beyond organic and I think he's been there and he's seen this huge transition in the industry. And
to more environmentally eco-friendly
ecological
practices.
Restoration, the planting of natives, and having a hybrid landscape where you have these edibles kind of intermingling with your ornamentals even. So he's seen so much in the transition out in the garden and the trends that continue to shift and change all the time. And he's right at the spear point of that.
That's
so it's been pretty cool for him.
You're making me think of a couple things here. You just talked about trends, and I just got my hands on some data for gardening trends from 2025 and the last couple of years before, and anticipation of trends in the future.
Where are we going?
And I just thought it was interesting that people are spending more time gardening than ever before.
I love that.
And that has been true the last few years, and it's continuing to be true. Going into 2026, people are saying that they are going to be gardening more. So if that's true, then we should be learning the best practices, the most eco-friendly ways to do these things. I'm also thinking of last week we had our second edition of the Texas podcast, and we spoke with a master gardener from Smith County, Greg Grant, and he said some really cool things that didn't even make it into the episode that I want to share, which is he was talking about the future is in the hands of gardeners, that gardeners are uniquely placed to make a big impact on the environment because they're the ones that know how to grow things.
And they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. And they have little garden plots, and they can make a big impact on wildlife, right? And they can also help build community, and they can grow food to sustain people. And we're going into a time where, affordability is on people's minds, and this is something that might make a huge difference. So it's really cool to be a part of this and this podcast and working with Greg and meeting these people because I'm learning all about this stuff, and it's so inspiring. I'm just moved by Greg. Thank you so much, Greg, for sharing your reflections on the year. And makes me curious, Kevin, what are your reflections looking back on 2025?
Well, you bring up the word inspiring, and it had me thinking, it's like, I think some of our listeners maybe don't even realize that even a small garden out front, or if you're out there gardening and growing, I was out my front yard the other day, and I was kind of cultivating and working on some plants, and a young person walks by, and they're like, "Hey, I've been noticing your front yard. It's really pretty. I walk by all the time, and I always look forward to it. So there's always something in bloom." She's like, she noticed the roses had gone in last year, and she's like, "Well, those really took off." And she's like, "I kind of want to maybe plant a rose at my house."
Oh, cool.
And so it's one of those things where
it spreads.
We're often growing and gardening for our own self, for our families, or our own little micro community around our home or whoever you live with. But you never know the little things you do. You might be inspiring other people in small and in big ways. And so to all of our listeners out there who are gardening and getting after it, just realize that if there's other people in your community, your neighbors are walking past your house or seeing what you're doing, you may be inspiring them to do similar things. So just know that this year is going to be something great. And so the effort you put in hopefully will result in a lot of harvest for you and good times. But only that, there may be like a ripple effect that you may never even notice of other people getting fired up to garden, to grow, to get outside, maybe to grow something that they can eat and share and do the same things that you're doing as well. And I just think that's just incredible. And I know that I've been inspired by a lot of different gardeners and growers out there. And most of them aren't on YouTube and most of them don't have a podcast. They're just normal, everyday folks who just love being outside, gardening and growing, and are willing to share what they know with you. So I tip my straw hat to all the gardeners out there. Please have a great year. Be inspiring to others because you never know where that will take other people around you. And you know what, personally, I want that trend you brought up of people, we got to have that climb. I want that thing getting steep. But for me, looking back, we had a great year at the school garden. Great, but not perfect. It's one of those things where as we start to kind of plan for the next year, reflection is good. It's when you go to the teaching program, I swear, you would write reflections upon what you've learned or what you experienced, and then we would have to reflect upon those reflections.
Oh, interesting.
And then we actually had a point in the year where we had to reflect upon the reflections of our reflections.
This is like that movie Inception.
And now now that I talk about it, I realize I'm reflecting upon that.
Oh my gosh.
Yikes. Oh my God.
4 levels.
My eyes just went crossed. But no, honestly, you can learn so much by looking backwards in the year. It's like I would say to any listener, question, what worked well out in the garden this last year? What didn't really work so well? Was there a plant that didn't make it? A variety that you really didn't like?
So I'd be curious to know what didn't work for you because you are pretty successful. You know what you're doing, and from what I saw, your garden did really well. So what actually didn't? If we could start there, I would love to hear.
So in the veggie garden, I would say one thing I learned is I did a lot of experimentation with pruning the tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
And so I went from like barely pruning anything to doing a light pruning to do a really heavy pruning like you would almost in a greenhouse setting.
As in like the years previous you were lighter and this year you did more.
And so I kind of mixed up a little bit. And I noticed one thing that gardeners can always remember is don't worry too much. Sometimes doing less is fine. And so I experimented with pruning, and for me, a light amount of pruning on the tomatoes was actually even more effective for me than the heavy amount of pruning.
Oh, cool.
So the heavy amount of pruning is more of like in a greenhouse when you have them stacked, even planted really close together. But I think for the normal person and how much time they want to dedicate to that, just prune them a little bit in the beginning and then let them get that structure started and then kind of forget it a little bit.
Sure.
Just for me, I realized on the rows that I did that, the plants that kind of received a light dose of my attention actually did better and produced a little more. So it's kind of fun sometimes to experiment in that regard. Getting the peppers in early because they take so long to get started. I know right now it seems cold, but pretty soon in a few weeks, I'm sure we're gonna have an episode all dedicated to starting your seeds.
Oh boy!
And for me, as soon as I come back from that winter break after the holiday season, peppers get started
ready
quick.
To get your peppers started.
Some people, that's when they start their tomatoes as well. I usually wait just a few weeks because my tomato seedlings, they always just grow so much more quickly. But just simple things like the spacing, the timing, variety choice. There was a variety I tried, really cool. One, the little pepper called pequeño, really pretty. It's like I think it's translates to bird beak because they're like these tiny, really sweet, interesting little flavor, beautiful little pepper. But you know what? There's other peppers out there I think I planted in the past that I like even more. And so you kind of try something, you go, oh wait, I'm gonna go back and go back to the ones I really love. So I would say always leave a gap in your garden for something new, but it's always nice to kind of go, hey, I do have my tried and true favorites. And so you got to balance it out a little bit. For me, just timing of the irrigation, balancing deep watering with also being infrequent. I think being more consistent with organic fertilizing in the summer could be helpful. I see halfway through the summer, some of my plants in the garden were starting to kind of look a little fatigued. And that could have also been from the extreme heat we had. So even dealing with that, I think finding unique ways that kind of work for your situation to battle against those struggles. Here, it's the extreme heat at the school. It's a balancing act of, can I put a shade cloth up? Is it worth that time and effort? For our home gardeners, you have to kind of, do that math as well. But always look back. I think watering, attention to soil. And for one big thing for me is getting ahead of those problems before they become a larger problem. So whether it's pests or, insects that are creating an issue for you out in your landscape, or even something as simple as just weeds getting out of control. If you get to those things early on in the season, as the temperature kind of dials up a little bit, that's when all those warm season, weeds start to kind of take off a little bit. And if you can kind of get at them really early, to me, it's like a prevention is worth a ton of cure kind of deal. That is a great approach to the garden. But, remembering what you did, it's kind of hard in your brain. So if you could write down, get a journal, you guys provided me with one as well. That's really helpful. So I would document.
Cool.
If you really want to expand your garden skills, write all this stuff down. And it could be little notes. And then that way you can reflect back on it and you can remember a little bit. Pictures, video, share that information out there with other people too. You never know where your gardening kind of adventures can take you, and there's plenty of Facebook groups. I know we have one as well, and someone's will be listening. There's local ones to where you're at. Connect with people. Connect with gardeners and growers that are right in your neighborhoods, right in your community. You can learn from them, share ideas, share resources, and you can learn so much. That way you don't have to ever have a problem and go, I'm never doing that again. No, someone else already made that problem. Learn from them and then move forward. That's where I'm at. And then looking forward, I cannot wait to share some of my goals for the next year.
Well, I'm also curious if you have anything that was like extra successful that you'd like to double down on. I know you try a lot of new crops. You kind of try to have successive harvesting throughout the year. You grow a lot of different things, but maybe there was a new technique, a new strategy, a new variety, a new something that you tried that you want to double down on because it was successful.
Well, we definitely updated our irrigation system in the spring last year at the school. That's something I need to do at my own home. Okay. Now, I've got a few drip systems at the house, but my main landscape in the front yard, which isn't very large, but I am hand watering it. And now most of them are drought tolerant, but I think in there, updating my irrigation system with a simple drip system could be highly effective. Like I said, we did that at the school. So much better as far as the coverage, the deep watering, and it's a consistency. It has really been helpful. So prioritizing the irrigation, having a timer. I think if someone's listening, one big boost to your success out in your, especially a vegetable garden or even an ornamental landscape is, having an irrigation system, not relying on just your hand because it's fun to hand water. I enjoy it too. It's very peaceful. But to have an irrigation system with a timer that you can easily adjust and work with, that's something that's really going to allow someone the flexibility and the consistency to get the amount of water to the plants in a way that's really going to be effective. So deep, infrequent watering, drip systems, these are things that I've evolved to in our gardens, and it has been wildly successful. Even in our containers and pots at the school, those have drip and micro sprays. And those are all adjustable, and so you can have fun with it, not just the timer, but the sprays. So I think it's one of those things where you can really kind of be creative and create your own solutions. But irrigation and a timer, man, that'll really set you up for success. I'm telling you.
Well, it's funny you bring up irrigation because that is my number one goal for next year. I did the first time ever growing in the ground my vegetable gardening because I had the community.
You're a proper green thumb now, Austin. I got to give you credit.
Thank you. I got in at the community garden, got a big summer vegetable garden going, and learned a lot from that. But one thing I never got around to was setting up the automated irrigation system, and I am never, ever going to go without that again because it was too much work trying to keep up with the watering, and just one watering session would take like an hour. So it's
and
too much.
In the summer, you might have to be there several times a week to do that hour watering.
It was ridiculous. But this is fun that you brought up irrigation because remember I was talking about trends? We've got this data that I've been looking through. So there's a change from last year to next year. One of the biggest changes is that people are making a goal for 2026 to add an automatic watering system. That went up from 32% to 42%. More people are going to get this done. The number one goal they have, of course, is creating beautiful plants for the front of their house to increase the value of their home and the curb appeal. The number two goal for people is creating vegetable gardens. But number three is adding an automatic watering system. How interesting is that?
Love it. Well, we want to create an abundance, but you want to do it sustainably.
Yes.
And I think drip systems are
an important part of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not only just, minimizing how much water you waste, but really it's like you're getting the right amount of water right to the root zone in an effective way. The plants, you end up having this lush, it's weird how you think you can have this beautiful, thick, lush garden full of just ripe fruit and vegetables. And it's all of just little tiny droplets of water slowly coming out of tubes over longer periods of time, right?
I haven't thought specifically of that, but you're right.
It's just cool. I love the idea of it. It's kind of, like I said, it's just fun to see just small amount of resources create just an abundance.
A great result. Yeah. Okay. So this is some of that. That's my goal for next year. These are some people are sharing these goals. You mentioned you have some goals for next year. What are you thinking?
I'm going crazy on natives, man. I know we've had a few episodes on it, and just climate adapted plants, more pollinator friendly plants. I really, especially at the school garden, we have a few pollinator landscapes out there. So my goal for those landscapes, I want to track down a few really, I want to track down some native plants that I can kind of plug into that garden. Things like some ceanothus, some of those lupins we've talked about, a lot of the hedgerow farm stuff, even some native grasses and things. I want to incorporate more of those into that landscape as much as possible. So that way we can kind of just keep luring in those native creatures. I really like finding those deliberate host plants. So that way we can have fun with the students and walk out there and go, okay, we're going to plant some Dutchman's pipe, and we're going to try to bring in, the swallowtail butterflies for those, and really have fun with these specific plants that host a very specific organism, and then watch that whole cycle play out. That's kind of fun to me. So I think planting more natives, planting more climate-adapted plants that are really going to thrive with very little watering once established. I love that. At my own home garden, I'm editing. And that's something that I suggest anyone listening, that should be a goal for everybody this year, is get in your garden and edit. And you, as an editor, Austin, you might appreciate this.
Yeah,
right?
I do.
So in sound editing and things like that, you're pulling out things that don't belong and inserting things that do, and kind of making sure that the final product is just right what you want it. And so in my home garden, I've had things change. I used to have a big, beautiful valley oak, one of my Quercus lobata. Oh my God, it was gorgeous. It spanned 3 homes. It was such a large canopy. But years ago, it started to have a crack up the trunk. And I was like, ooh, took pictures, started measuring it. The crack started getting taller and longer and wider. It was like a plumber style crack, bud.
Oh no.
No, it was just a big crack in the trunk. And it was visibly getting larger. And
so you had that removed, right?
Tried to call an arborist. We had it removed. And guess what? This massive tree, once we removed it, all the plants that were planted underneath it, guess what I planted underneath that thing? Japanese maples and a lot of shade-loving plants. And so I have...
Did they get fried?
They've been getting fried for a few years. So I have these 2 little lace leaf, red lace leaf maples. I think it's like a red dragon maybe, or crimson queens. Very beautiful, short, stocky, little beautiful acers. That's the maples. That's the maple genus. And they have very thin leaves. And once that hot 100-degree plus, they just get roasted. So they're alive right now. It's incredible. They survived these last few summers. But now I'm going to edit. Once they go fully dormant, they're going to get scooped up, and I'm going to either put them in large pots or put them in the backyard where I do have some shade. So I'm going to try to save them. But then guess what? I'm going to grab some smaller fruit trees, maybe a few roses or some natives, and I'm going to surround that area with some more color and some more things that I can eat as well. So I kind of have battling. It's kind of difficult. I'm sure listeners are like, oh, that's kind of competing goals. But some of my goals are like, I want to have more edible food at the house, especially stuff that is kind of low maintenance. So I love the citrus. I even things like apples I can grow out there that are heat loving. After going to that farm out there at Zager Genetics and eating some of their fruit, I'm kind of fired up. I actually wouldn't mind planting a nectarine or 2.
Oh, cool.
But it's got to be whatever I replace them with. It's got to be something that loves hot, intense sun. And so I'm going to go find a home for those and hopefully populate that front garden with more food and more flowers. And I said, and obviously a drip system, like I mentioned earlier, because I want them all to survive and do well. It's one of those things where it kind of goes back to solving problems before they get out of hand. And I think irrigation for a lot of, it's like when people run into problems, like what do plants need? They need sunlight, they need water, right? And so if your plant is in the right place, it should be getting the right amount of sun. Hopefully you're providing the right kind of soil, and then also giving it the right amount of watering. And so with irrigation systems, that is really, I think, will help you get out ahead of those problems. Because it's nothing like forgetting to water a plant that's a little water thirsty and then coming back a few weeks later and then spending the whole summer trying to get it back. And you're like, ugh. So, just getting out ahead of things and
Cool.
kind of fixing problems before they ever become a problem.
I love that. Being preventative measures. I like that.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Kevin, for laying out your reflections and your goals. Thank you, Producer Greg, for making everything happen and sharing your reflections. I find them so valuable. And I love learning from you, Greg. So thank you. Thanks to all of our listeners for coming in and hanging out and making this what it is. I hope everyone can reflect, look back, make some goals. Very, definable goals, easy to attain things.
You read my mind.
That's really going to help you. So I think figure out what you want to accomplish, make it achievable, and then go for it and share your reflections and your goals with us in our podcast group, the Green Acres Facebook podcast group. The link is in the episode description. But Kevin, I'm going to throw it to you for one last final thing. Take us out. That's all the time we have for this week.
Dude, where did the time go, man?
It flies,
It
man.
is like I'm in like a vortex. I'm like a space-time continuum thing here. I felt like we just started. I love it. Thank you again to everybody. And like I said, make your goals. You can dream big out in that garden. Gardening isn't difficult. I think that's one myth that gets thrown around way too much. Like, oh, this guy's an expert level green thumb. And yeah, there are some people out there that are very talented. But I think to be successful out in that garden, it's for everybody, and it's accessible to everybody to be highly successful out in the garden, and it doesn't take a PhD to do it. It just takes a little time and effort, and a ability to learn. And the more research you do, if there's a plant that you really want to grow, learn all about that plant and what its requirements are. If you give a plant everything it needs, you're more than likely to be successful. And if you're trying to grow a plant and it's very tricky and you're not providing that plant with what it really needs, you're going to find yourself struggling needlessly. So just learn a little bit, reach out to other people who are like-minded, maybe who are growing the things that you want to grow, and you can learn from them. For me, my goals are endless. I didn't get to go over all of them because there's so many. Even things like creating a backyard oasis, a place where I can go with my family and not just enjoy the plants, but just enjoy peace. And so that could be creating a space in and amongst your plants to actually enjoy the garden. So hopefully not just go out in the garden and just work. Go out there, work, enjoy it, take a break, and enjoy yourself. Time is precious, life is precious, and in the garden, you will certainly appreciate that. A huge shout out to all our listeners. Thank you for being here. We love having you. It's amazing to be in and amongst so many incredible gardeners and growers and some really passionate green thumbs. We cover the world. I think, and we spoke with Dr. Greg Grant. He kind of mentioned it's like we are the world's biggest and best minority group of a group of people. It's like gardeners. Mm-hmm. We are our own group, and we connect in incredible ways. So get out in that garden, plan big, set huge goals, but also, like Austin said, find some goals that are absolutely obtainable for you. Start small, but dream big, friends. Now, please, if you can, get out in that garden this week, get some dirt under those nails, and start planning for an amazing year ahead. We wish you all the best this week. Happy gardening to you all, and please, never stop growing.